Greetings and welcome to this week's episode of the Pixel Crashers Podcast, a podcast where we discuss our thoughts on gaming news. I am Angelus de Mortiel, together with Kev the Gamer.
Hey, what up?
MajorStupidity.
What's up?
And Deathshroud09.
How's it going?
Meh.
Deathshroud, man. So let's and we're actually going to come to Deathshroud last on the whole gaming thing because it's going to tie into our first story. But Kev, so have you played any new games or any new DLC or anything of that nature this week?
See, it doesn't help when you lead into knowing what I've been playing. I've been getting caught up and finishing up Dragon Age Inquisition. So I beat Jaws of Hacken. I beat the Darkspawn one. I can't think of what it's called right now. Yeah, the Descent. And I think I'm about halfway through the Trespasser. I think I'm about halfway through there. I played about 2 hours of it.
I see. Well, we won't spoil any of that. So how have you been enjoying the Trespasser so far?
It reminds me of the Citadel DLC from Mass Effect 3. Like the same kind, I get that same kind of feeling with it. Of course, it's set in the Dragon Age world, but it's like, okay, we're wrapping up. You met all these characters. I don't have the attachment to them, of course, because I haven't been playing with them for 3 games, like we did with Mass Effect. But it feels like, they're just kind of tying up stuff and wrapping up stuff.
Do you feel like that was a bit of a weakness for Dragon Age? Like, even though you did have some recurring characters from previous Dragon Age titles, it definitely was, you didn't have all of the characters, like, from previous games?
Right, you didn't get I don't feel like I got a chance to really have any of those bonds. Like, the only old character that came back that I cared about was Liliana. I loved Liliana. And I even love her now, like, because she's just such a dark character in Dragon Age Inquisition, whereas in Origins, she was really, naive. She reminded me like Tali from Mass Effect in the first game. She was really naive and then became this really cynical person toward the end.
Yeah, well, and the fact is that in the first game, spoiler alert, everyone, in the first Dragon Age, you kind of had a hand in hardening her and kind of making her more cynical. Whenever you went on her,
I can't get over the fact that you can murder her and then she just like reappears in the third game and will be like, "The Maker saved me because I'm here for a purpose." With
by the grace of God.
Yep. Well, that's okay.
On everybody.
The thing is if you murdered her, you done goofed anyway, because everybody knows the best possible outcome in the first Dragon Age Origins was to harden her, and only for the purpose of getting her and the elf guy Zevran and Isabella into this big orgy. So.
You didn't even see anything. It's like screen. It was like,
see, I didn't know they had an orgy together. I know Liliana and Isabella had a thing, but I didn't know about the orgy.
Yeah, you had to have hardened her and then have her and Zevran in the party when you go and first introduce yourself to Isabella. It actually does.
All I know is crazy dragon cultist promised to give me power for tainting some ashes. It's like, this fucking dead person's ashes. It's like, oh, I'll put some blood in there. And then Liliana's like, I'm going to kill you for that. It's like, really? Really?
you if you harden her, you get her to stand down.
Oh no! If she's with you when you taint the ashes,
if she's hardened, if you harden her, then
if
you bring her with you.
She'll stand down.
Yeah.
If you leave her at the camp and she confronts you later about it. But if you bring her with you to the actual mountain and taint it, she will always turn on you, even if you harden her. Yes.
No, I can say for 100% certain my playthrough did not have that. But anyway,
I will say I am disappointed that there are no appearances, at least that I can remember, from Sandal.
No way, seriously.
I cannot remember if I ever.
Alistair's in Inquisition already.
In Inquisition. I remember he was in 2, but not in Inquisition.
Yeah, he's been in all of the games thus far. He's been
Alistair
kind of
was like in the first game. The only companions I really cared that much about was it was Alistair. Well, I like Morgan.
And Alistair is in the game depending on your choices in previous games.
Yeah, and I'll say
I straight up killed him in the first game. So it was actually my warden. Because I chose the human warrior warden and married Queen Honora in the first game. So whenever it came time for introductions to Ferelden and all that, it was just Queen Honora.
I thought it was always stronger in Inquisition. Like, I love the fact that if you spare Loghain and make him a warden, he, like, appears, because Loghain was such a great character.
That's what I did. I spared him and made him a warrior.
Yeah, he was such a good character.
I think I killed Loghain.
A lot of people did, but, like, he was such a good villain.
He was. My problem is I liked Alistair. Like, and it's funny because Alistair reminds me of Caden, and I didn't really like Caden very much.
Like, if you harden Alistair, you make him king, like, have him marry Honora, and then you can spare Loghain.
Yeah.
And it all works out. Like, it's like Alistair's king.
But the big thing on here, like I said, the big thing is what Kev mentioned, though, is Sandal. Sandal's kind of been this running Easter egg in the game, right? Who is he? Yeah. What's really going on there with Sandal?
Enchantment?
Yeah, in the second game when you ran across him, and there was like just this ogre, this darkspawn ogre, frozen in midair, and then you're like, Sandal, what's up with that? And he said, not enchantment.
Just chilling in the deep roads like nothing's going on.
Yeah.
How about Shale? Did Shale appear?
I only saw Shale I don't remember Shale in the first game. And only if you have the DLC, I don't think I ever saw her again.
See, she was that one out of the DLC. She was awesome.
Yeah, she was. But she was a little OP.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, we know Joe doesn't mind spoilers or OP.
Yeah. But let's go ahead and get moving on. So Major, have you been playing any games? What's going on there?
Well, most of the same games. One game though I was playing again that I hadn't played for a while was Plants vs Zombies Garden Warfare. Mm-hmm. That is still a very fun game.
My 10-year-old likes that game
too. They're coming out with a sequel to that one, right?
Yeah, I heard something about that.
My 10-year-old's excited for it.
Yes, and also my 10-year-old sister plays Minecraft, and Minecraft's still enjoyed by many people.
He took it as a shot. I was just saying my 10-year-old likes the game.
Yeah, we all know why you mentioned that. You were trying to take a stab at
You're
Major.
just a peasant.
But so, Death Shroud.
I'm on another podcast where we take shots. I don't have to take shots here.
Right? We'll have a drinking podcast at some point where we discuss games and potentially try to play them while completely trashed. So Death Shroud, have you been playing anything new there? God, don't do it. Don't do it.
Don't do what?
He's trying to be Krendor again.
Now you got me started.
He's not nasally enough to be Krendor completely.
Yeah, I'm not quite as nasally. I've been playing a little bit of Torchlight 2 again, just kind of going over things, trying a couple of mods. Really, I'm like on the first day of Terraria, starting back the patch. And really excited to do that. I never really played through much Terraria, mostly because it's more fun with other people.
Yeah, it definitely does. I'm more.
I was going to ask, did you ever play Starbound?
No, I didn't.
I actually have Starbound, and it was pretty enjoyable.
I got mixed reviews on it, so I was kind of like.
It's Terraria in space. Like that's really all it is.
Terraria hurt my eyes.
I've been playing some Dota 2, as I usually do.
Like now, is there any other games before we get to that one? Because that one's going to lead into our first story here.
No, nothing that I didn't discuss last week.
Okay, well, so obviously our first story is about Dota 2 Reborn. Have you had a chance to play since the major overhaul?
Well, I mean, I've had to, right? Because they've completely switched over to the Reborn client. Yep.
And so now, after your kind of experience with playing it, do you think it'll have like any kind of impacts to the esports scene or to the popularity of Dota 2 in general, positive or negative?
I don't think it will be negative. I'm not sure how positive it's going to be. I feel that the UI design is good. It's incomplete. It needs a lot of work, as things like this do. I mean, it took 4 years for the previous client to get to where it was today.
Mm-hmm.
I think that the increase in popularity is solely going to be from how successful Valve makes the custom games. and if that takes off.
That's a slippery slope with those custom games, right? You're gonna have a lot of them that are just brutal and not fun.
Yeah, but then again, like this is a piece of history, right? In terms of Dota, it goes all the way back to Warcraft 3.
Right? Yeah, because custom games is where Dota was born. Was a custom game of Warcraft.
Come full circle.
Mm-hmm.
What is Dota 2 Reborn? Like, I've heard of it, but I don't know much about it.
So go ahead, Death. Why don't you explain it, since you've had hands-on experience and I haven't had the chance to yet.
Okay, Dota 2 Reborn is basically a complete overhaul of the game from like a base standpoint. They moved it over from Source 1 to Source 2, and built the game on Source 2, and they completely
which is the engine that it runs on.
It's obviously. And they completely rebuilt the UI of the game in like the main menu and everything. It's very sleek. It looks less beta, like it's in perpetual beta.
I love that term, perpetual beta.
Well, I mean, we still technically are in perpetual. We're in the beta of a beta.
Isn't that what Warframe's in?
Yeah, it is. And they cleverly dodge every time someone asks about are they ever going to come.
Fallout 3 is still in perpetual beta.
And we at first they allowed the player base to play on either the Reborn client or the old client, the Source 1 client, and just recently they took the Source 1 client offline, and everybody's on Reborn now. And there's a really big fuss about it in that there's a lot of bugs, obviously. When you completely port a game over to a new engine like that, there's going to be a lot of bugs. When you completely revamp a UI, there's a lot of things you're going to need to add and fix.
Well, isn't it smart that they did it right after the International, though? So that way they have this whole, next year until the next International to
absolutely
wrinkle out
We're planning that. Like, imagine if they had done that, like, right before the International. That would have been, like, the dumbest thing they could have ever done.
Well, Major.
Oh, it would have been
completely changed the game right before
Major
the championship.
I know you don't know much about Dota, but last year during the qualifiers, I believe it was, they dropped a game-changing patch in the middle of the TI qualifiers.
Fantastic.
Oh, man. Well, I mean, Blizzard's done similar stuff like that with Hearthstone.
But to be completely honest, it made the call. It made the non-finals part of TI hilarious and amazing to watch, but whatever. I'm sure the pros weren't happy about it.
Are the pros ever happy about changes?
No,
the last thing you want to do is change shit.
Actually, in Dota, yes. Because pros are so closely tied to like the pub scene, and a lot of them are just like graduated from pub stars. They have the same mentality of, if the game isn't on a new patch every 3 days, they get tired of it and everything is broken.
Oh, you mean the guys that put in 40 hours in 3 days? Those guys.
Yeah, well, they're pro players. Yes, they're putting in 40 hours in 3 days. Hell, they're putting in 50 hours in 3 days.
In 5. When they're pro.
Like, literally, like, pro esports MOBA teams will live in the same house. Like, the team manager or the team sponsor will actually buy a freaking house, and the team will live together so they can like practice nonstop.
It's pretty insane.
Yeah, it is. Like,
and that's why Korea dominates so hard.
My mind.
It's one of the reasons.
Like, I get bored playing like multiplayer games, sometimes online after like an hour or two.
Well, I mean, the one benefit that Dota has specifically is that there is a ton of stuff to learn and practice. So it does there's a long time before you really get burnt on it. But I would give it about 6 months before I would be burnt on living like that. You have to be a special type of person to be able to, to do that for that long.
My big thing is, we all know I like story games. Like, if you don't have a story, I'm going to get bored.
Yep.
I'm
pretty pictures.
I'm going to get to the point I was moving towards, and that is releasing. A lot of people are questioning if moving over 100% to the Reborn client this early while there's still so many bugs was a good idea. I personally say yes. Because the game is free, and because of how, rigorous, like, how deeply ingrained bugs can be in this sort of, like, highly complex game, you need a lot of people playing on it constantly to find everything. And I think that if they need to do it now before the holidays come up, so that they can get the bugs worked out so they can start dropping content again when the holidays come in.
Yeah. Now, do you think that that there might not have been enough people because they had the beta client server for Reborn that's been running for a while now? And do you think that they weren't getting enough people playing on that, and that's why they kind of forced us to switch over more early?
Well, the beta client, like, that's not really a highly played thing. People go on there to test new things in a patch, but they don't actively participate on there most of the time. And that wasn't what happened here. Was they had, like, literally 2 separate, fully playable clients, which, if you understand how multiplayer and matchmaking works, that basically
splits
the player base and it increases queue times. So
yeah, that's not good.
Yeah, which means you want to get onto one single client as fast as possible.
Which you split the player base like that, then you end up with a situation like playing Ghost Recon Phantoms. It's an amazing game, so fun to play that game, but good God, it takes you like 20 minutes to find a match because there's just not enough people playing.
Well, the problem with DotA is you have the player base, has a pretty large player base, but you have to split that between the countries, the different regions. You have to split it by the different game modes. Mm-hmm. Then you have to split it again by the separate MMRs of...
Wait, you're telling me that people play more than one game mode in Dota?
They do. I mean, it's mostly all pick quote unquote solo queue.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
You do get some of the I don't remember the one that they launched on Halloween, and I think they took it away now, but it was a limited time game
Dire Tide.
Yeah, Dire Tide.
Vote, please.
Dire Tide. Yeah.
Did you see that? Were you a part of that nonsense that went down, Morty? From your laugh, I think you were.
No comment.
Hopefully, we get it this year. I believe it's probably returning.
It's something different. It's something interesting, and like I said, it's always been kind of entertaining. So,
one of the biggest internet outbursts from a gaming community I've ever seen.
Yeah, that's very true.
Whenever the president of the United States starts getting messages, it's serious.
No, it just means that people lack priorities. That's what it means. It's like, hey, let me email the president about my game, this game mode in this game.
When similarly named car companies are forced to put out like PR messages to get people to stop spamming their Facebook page. Let's hope that doesn't happen again this year and we actually get a new game.
Let's hope it happens again. Please, yes. Yes, let's do it again. Let's go ahead and get moving on too. Yes, and let's get moving on to more drama like Dire Tide.
Ooh, drama.
drama. So, despite, of course, obviously, we had all of the sales figures get released from NPR about the PS4 again, beating the sales of the Xbox. And then someone else snuck out another sales figure that was like, oh yeah, despite that, the hype of sales of Xbox versus PlayStation, there's a recent report that PC is far and away the fastest growing gaming market, based upon, sales of game figures and volume overall. By the way, this doesn't count piracy, Ubisoft. This is actual game sales.
I think this has to do just with the increased accessibility and increased... it's just getting easier and easier and more cost efficient to get on PC lately. PC is getting cheaper and cheaper and more accessible, every year.
Well,
It's
I think
basically-
PC's been accessible. Like,
Well-
look at the PC games.
Well,
Like, most of them run
like,
on,
also
like
the
the PC only games
Yeah,
run
also
on a
lots of-
laptop.
Yeah,
Well, let me throw
also
this one
lots
out
of
there.
Platforms, like Steam, everything.
Because obviously one of the myths about gaming, and in some cases is not necessarily a myth, but is obviously people think of the cost and also the technical know-how if you want to build your own computer or whatever. Do you think the increase in viability of a lot of integrated, now obviously they're not necessarily good, but they're usable, the integrated graphic solutions on some of the chips like AMD's A10 CPU or Intel's whatever integrated graphics options, they don't play games at ultra settings, but they are at least passable, and obviously those are mainstream in the brick and mortar store. Like you go into Best Buy, you'll find laptops and 2-in-1s and stuff there that have pretty decent high-end APU or integrated GPU chips. Do you think that's increased a lot of it? It's like,
yeah, that goes back to accessibility. And I think when people talk about accessibility, I did a video on this like a month ago. It's different. When you talk about accessibility, like on a console, we're not talking about hardware limitations. So now you get those big Michael Bay-like games. You get your Uncharted, your Halos, the big summer blockbuster kind of games. When you come down to PC, hardware is a factor because everybody doesn't have the same hardware.
Yep.
So you have to make the game so that everybody can play it. Like I was talking to a friend, he's like, why does everybody play CSGO on PC? It looks like shit. Like, because everybody can run CSGO.
Exactly.
You don't need a gaming PC to run CSGO.
Yep.
I think that's also a factor in the rising popularity of something like League. Like, League runs on a fucking potato.
Yeah, it does.
Well, so does Dota.
I know so many people who are pretty
Hearthstone.
much strictly...
Hearthstone runs on, not just does it not run
I have
on
friends
every
who are
computer.
still strictly on console, and even my friends who are strictly like console players, I hear them talk about, I've been playing League this week. It's like, that's the only PC game they play, but because it runs on their potatoes.
Well, the thing is,
right, and I think that's an age thing too. Like, I'm a little older, like 25s and ups, you can't tell them nothing about PC gaming. They don't want to hear it. They're like, I'm going to play on my console. It's what I've always, you're at that age where you're not open to new shit.
Yeah, but there's also, like I said, you also have, when you're talking about accessibility, you also have PC games like Hearthstone, which is not just a PC game. It's got equal viable mobile crossplay to it, where I can pop it on my phone, play a couple matches on my phone, quit out, move over to my PC, and I have the same cards, same decks, all that stuff. It completely transfers over. And I wish more games did that.
Oh yeah, I wish more games were just crossplay in general. But I think the cool part, even with that is because our phones are so powerful now. Like, what was it last year? And we can even see it just with everything coming and coming and coming. The phones are going to surpass the consoles very, very soon.
They technically already kind of do as far as just sales, but that's because they're not just gaming. Oh, as far as performance, they already do. Let's be honest.
I can get 4 gigs of RAM in a $350, like a $350 phone.
Well, if you've seen the performance specs on the NVIDIA Tegra K1 SoC chip, it's insane. It actually blows a lot of the console performance out of the water. But it's
about how to market it now.
The thing is that it also is lower powered, which means that its top end is potentially lower. But as far as
that's why I say it's not outperforming them yet.
Yeah, exactly. But with respect to PC sales, though, specifically, because mobile market is its own thing.
Well, I look at mobile as like PlayStation has Vita, PC has mobile.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is like say take for example Hearthstone. It's on mobile, which is a separate market entirely, but it also seems to encourage sales in the PC realm, because if you have a game like Hearthstone, I'm playing on my tablet or my smartphone. Doesn't that kind of encourage me to also get it on my PC as well, so I have it everywhere?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I think that like, for a long time now, I've viewed PCs as like the future of like entertainment. I haven't consoles for a long time now for me have just seemed like a really dead-end proposition. Because PCs just outperform them in every single way possible, and they're so easy to use.
Let me dispel a myth real quick. There is one way in which the actual consoles do, at least specifically one console, does majorly better than PC, and that's a unified matchmaking platform. And that's specifically with the Xbox.
Yeah,
Xbox Live is hands down one of the best kind of cohesive networking platforms, we'll call it, for gaming.
Well, yeah, Microsoft is amazing when it comes to networking.
Yeah,
and it's kind of funny too, because then you hear people talk about PSN or they talk about the Nintendo network. What they don't realize is Microsoft is just amazing at networking.
What else do they do?
Exactly, that's what they do.
I have a feeling Steam will pick that up soon, because that's kind of like the next.
Steam is pretty good too. I would actually say it's pretty close to Xbox. I don't know if it's good or better or worse.
The thing is they're not really.
This weekend it's been pretty trash.
Yeah, the thing is that their matchmaking is not unified. Steam is not a matchmaking platform, but Valve does have a matchmaking system within, say, like Dota 2. Or, etc. So they have individual game matchmaking, but you don't run into a lot of games that have a unified matchmaking platform, with the exception of publishers. Like Uplay and Origin, they have their own matchmaking systems among themselves.
What do you mean by a unified matchmaking platform?
For example, I have a game. Doesn't matter what game it is. It's a multiplayer game of some kind. I go into a public match, right? What does it go to access to match me with other players? So
Which is why, for example, we have Uplay on Steam. Like, we have to have it with Ubisoft games.
So, like, whenever you load up, for example, when you load up Dragon Age Inquisition, what's one of the first things you see? Connecting to Dragon Age servers, which is translation, EA Origin. That's a fancy way of saying it, but they have to disclose that they're connecting you to those servers.
It even says that on the console version for Mass Effect, that we're connecting to Origin servers.
Yeah, well, the thing is that that's because they actually have. But the thing is this is where Microsoft gets interesting with it, is that even though it's connecting for that as a check-in, it's more or less it then once you check in with the server, it then says, "Oh, you're Xbox." And it sends it back to Microsoft. And then from there, Microsoft handles all the matchmaking. Which is also why a lot of people that are on Xbox One... PS4 has the biggest Inquisition fan base for multiplayer, but Xbox One people tend to say they have some of the best multiplayer experience. Not always. But the point is when I'm talking about a multiplayer platform... matchmaking system or unified platform, I'm meaning doesn't matter what game you pop it in, at some point when you go into a public match, where does it go to sync you up with other players? With Steam, Steam itself isn't syncing you up with other players unless you have people on your friends list, right? Mm-hmm. Dota 2 has its own matchmaking. It's standalone. It is not hooked into Steam. It's just Dota 2.
But there are other. But I mean, I'm having a hard time following like your point here, in terms of that. It's like it connects through Microsoft, but if you go to any multiplayer game on Steam, you can search for a group of people who have that game and play that game.
Yeah, it's essentially that what it is ease of use. I guess that's where I should say it's superior in its ease of use on there.
I guess that's the thing, right? Like that's very difficult to replicate in any way, and I'm not entirely sure if that small ease of use is really worth the disadvantages brought along with it.
Well, as far as the console in general, yeah. I could see there's major disadvantages to go along with a very smooth matchmaking system. But, that's hit or miss. The major point is that PC is kind of the big market here. And it just kind of, I think it's funny because...
I just like how it's such an open system.
Yeah, it's because you've got so much potential.
So much. I think a lot of people don't realize this either. Like, I had a debate with a console guy earlier this week who was trying to tell me, PCs are completely irrelevant. And I was like, the community on Steam alone is more than double the size of the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One combined. Like, how is that an irrelevant audience?
Yeah.
And I think it's the perception that I think you have a lot, because, whenever you see ads for games, it's all PlayStation, Xbox One, and PC. And you're hearing it more and more now. And I think, as the information comes out and with the internet and the people online showing their asses, PC Master Race. Oh my God, that's so irritating. But I think the more you're seeing it and the more you're seeing, people actually talking about it and you're seeing the numbers and the facts are coming out, it's cool to see that, it's the, I don't want to call it the third platform, but it kind of is. Yeah. It is a major player and those obviously the largest. Yep. I'm interested to see what happens this generation, because I think, where the technology is going, next generation, I wouldn't be surprised if PC was lead platform for everything.
Yeah, that wouldn't be surprising. But speaking of showing asses.
Speaking of showing asses real quick because I know where you're going with this. Did we see that console wars video with the PC Master Race guy? That shit was hilarious.
No, I haven't seen that one.
I'll link that to you guys later. Make sure to link it in the description, Morty. I'll send you the link later.
Okay.
But basically, it's a console wars video. They were doing Xbox versus PlayStation. It was animated. They're fighting, going back and forth. People kept saying, do PC Master Race. And basically, you just saw the Xbox and the PlayStation guys. They really didn't care. They're playing cards, smoking cigarettes, trying to stay awake, as this guy brags about his hardware, calling them peasants. It was gold. Then another PC player comes in who has a better rig.
Oh gosh!
On the guy and calls him a peasant. It's just pure comedy gold.
Oh, that's excellent. But back to showing asses.
And the guy literally just shows ass.
Because it's too good not to pass up. YouPorn recently released their analytics on the gaming console traffics to their site. No surprise, of course, PlayStation being the highest, because there is most people there. But my question is, why are you browsing porn on your console?
Because they probably don't have watching porn on that 50-inch screen.
Honestly, yeah, there's probably people. Like, I know some people have consoles who don't even really have anything above maybe like a laptop. And it's like, do I got my little 18-inch screen, or do I want to watch this on my 40-inch screen? And they're just like, eh.
Well, what I want to know is...
I think there's a big part of this, too, to do with, as much as we talk about, PC being the biggest platform, I do think there are, like, legit reasons at this point not to own a computer. Mm-hmm. Like, especially, like, because of the power of smartphones. So, if you...
Feels like you need
are just, like, you watch you go Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Twitch. You can do that from your console and your phone.
Yeah.
And that's all your internet activity.
Chromecast.
Yeah,
just get a Chromecast.
Exactly. So, and if that's all you do on the internet, there is literally no reason for you to get a computer.
Yep.
Like, even have one in your house. Yeah. So, what's the next best thing for something like this? My console.
Yep.
Well, I have a question for Morty. Like, what would be the security concerns for this type of thing, right?
Oh, well, there's a ton of them, especially because you're on PlayStation.
Well, not necessarily PlayStation.
Well, because their architecture is different, right? I mean,
actually, the architecture is identical. It's x86 architecture. That was the big thing about these. Yeah.
So it's still susceptible to, say, a virus.
Oh, yeah. Some sort of anybody that tells you that any computer is not susceptible to a virus,
look at Max.
I mean, you know what I mean. It's kind of like the Windows. Like, you can still get a virus on a Mac, but it's infinitely less likely.
I should point out that while you your major adult industry websites do get a bad rap because there are some nefarious ones out there, for the most part, the big ones on there, they may have intrusive ads, but they try not to get any malicious type stuff on there because they want you to keep going back, right?
Let's remember 10 years ago, there was a virus on the White House website. where you go there and you would even get it there. So I mean, it happens.
Yeah, and the thing is you can literally get viruses from anywhere. There's people that can hijack a website and put their own stuff in there. But
I get malware messages on my Xbox One all the time.
Yeah, so anybody thinks that you can't get a virus on there, that's silly. The truth is that, you know, if you are like going to very dark places of the internet, the expectation is that you should have your flame repellent in one hand and a bag of condoms in the other ones, because you need some protection.
Anti-malware.
Don't forget that lube.
Yeah, right.
If they catch you from behind, it's curtains.
Oh yeah, exactly. So it's that's a rule of thumb. You know, when you're in the dark recesses of the internet, things get weird really quick. So yeah, there's tons of security concerns. Most of it's resolved with common sense, like, hey, this website is offering to make my manhood, or in some cases your womanhood, you know, depending on your gender, larger or better or whatever in some way.
I love this gem on the article. Well, it's fascinating to learn that porn hunters on Nintendo systems search for Zelda and Pokemon much more than others.
You sound surprised.
Oh no, not at all. It's completely expected, but it's just funny to actually hear it said.
I'm friends with some like Nintendo fans, and yeah, that doesn't surprise me.
Yeah.
Oh, geez.
No, it's
that's like
completely
we've seen the
expected.
fan art for Mass Effect. We shouldn't be surprised by anything.
Oh yeah.
If it's on the internet, it's fair game.
I mean, the amount of, well, the thing is that Mass Effect, let's be honest, they kind of threw out the sexuality was palpable in that game.
Yeah,
let's not forget that Rule 34 is the thing. Yeah. Don't look that up, by the way.
You guys do know that there exists on the internet.
You don't want to.
You guys do know there exists on the internet like Fortnite issues that people have made.
Oh yeah.
So
you do know that the song was right. The internet is for porn.
It is.
Well, it's for everything. The truth is, and which includes the thing is anytime you have something that represents a like a kind of a facsimile of the human psyche, you are going to find all kinds of really weird and really sometimes, you know, arousing, but sometimes just the fuck stuff, and that's the internet. Sometimes you find some stuff that's really educational and very interesting.
They even show regional like console like searching of porn. Yeah. Like it shows US really Xbox.
Yeah, it was actually surprising. It's in China is mostly Nintendo. Like,
yeah, well, I mean that's kind of how it's always been though. Like, I think when people talk about a lot of these console sales, Xbox and like
Japan's Nintendo as well.
Yeah, Japan's always been Nintendo. America's always been Xbox since it's come out, but the world has primarily been PlayStation.
Well, the thing is that Sony is based in Japan too. So it's kind of shocking that Nintendo still owns Japan despite Sony having such a
actually
huge
not
presence.
if you know about Japanese culture. Personally, I don't find it surprising at all.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But let's go ahead and get moving on there. We've talked about porn far too long. That's not what this podcast is about. So let's go ahead and get on to more silliness. So GameStop is desperately trying to keep people from buying digital games, obviously because they sell physical games. They're actually now swapping out console bundles that have digital download codes with bundles that include the physical game. And I guess my question on here is this kind of the sign of desperation that GameStop's finally going the way of Blockbuster and Sam Goody? No?
I think this is just an ethics issue.
Now, how's it an ethics issue?
Simple.
Expound.
We want you to get our physical copy of the game, so then maybe you'll turn it in and trade it because we make most of our revenue off of used games.
Yeah, damn.
So if we can get those games out, there.
To throw out a hard figure, 45% of their sales are used games. I just throwing that out there. Yeah.
That they buy and then sell at like quadruple the market price.
Yep.
I actually, since this gen started, I haven't gotten less than
you trade in newer games.
Yeah, I beat the game. I buy the game when it comes out, and beat it.
Try trading in an older game.
Even when I was on console, I couldn't just.
I'm not going to trade in Red Dead Redemption.
What's that? What's that, Death?
Let's just say, my younger brothers have made the mistake of trading in a lot of games to GameStop and getting like one new game. I'm about to pass down all of my Xbox games to my little brother because I'm moving completely to PC. And I just don't play them anymore. There's a couple that I need to finish up before I get rid of my Xbox. But whenever I give them to him, I'm going to give them to him with the stipulation that he cannot sell them to GameStop.
Fuck GameStop.
Yeah,
I don't have a huge problem with GameStop though. I buy most of my games from Best Buy.
As much as I understand people's inclination towards being able to buy used games, like I don't blame people, but I do acknowledge that used games are used as reasoning for some of these big publishers to pull some of the bullshit they do. Well, like some of the DLC piracy practices happen, I know. But I'm just saying, like, I don't know. I never bought a used game. Well,
I buy used games all the damn time.
Even when I was on console, I never bought used games.
Here's my thing, is that this was where my question was posed, is that obviously you have, now I can't remember, does Best Buy actually sell used games or are they just purely new? Okay.
No, they buy and sell new and used games, and they give you a better deal for it.
So here's the thing. This is where I'm going with it. So obviously the difference between GameStop, not Spot, good God, no. But GameStop and Best Buy is obviously GameStop is entirely video games, although they're now trying to sell other stuff. But they're pretty much all video games, whereas Best Buy is obviously a ton of electronics and stuff. And where my point is that if you notice, what are some of the things that Best Buy sells? Well, they, aside from selling appliances and TVs and computers, they sell physical music and physical video games. Well, what's like where I'm kind of going with the death rattle of GameStop is that Sam Goody, you know, at one point in time. Oh, and I forgot. Sorry, they also sell physical movies at Best Buy. But Sam Goody, obviously, many years ago, was one of the biggest retailer chains of physical music sales in the country, and that's all they did. They had some huge stores in some big cities that were just tons of music. Obviously, with the rise of the digital music age, they quickly crumbled. And now, can you find a Sam Goody anywhere? There might be a couple stores left. You know, and then obviously with Blockbuster, you know, they used to be huge on the video scene, right? Everywhere you could find Blockbusters. And then once, you know, like your Netflix and your Hulu and that sort of thing and digital movie sales started coming up, then all of a sudden Blockbuster is gone. You know, I think they still have like some kind of presence, but it's not the same as it was before.
I think the big difference there is that while I don't think piracy is a huge issue in games, specifically console games, I think in the music and movie industry, it is freaking huge.
Well,
and it's hard to talk about this and discount that with music and movies.
Now, while piracy is an issue, I don't think that was really what displaced those guys, because piracy has been a thing, like especially movies. Well, here's the thing. Here's an example. Music, all right? Music piracy. No one talked about music piracy back in the day whenever I would make mixtapes, on cassette, just recording music off of a radio station. Right?
Yeah, they didn't say anything like that.
Nobody gave a crap about that. Yet,
because people would still go out and buy the album.
Exactly. The thing is that that's technically piracy. Especially when I'm handing it out to buddies. Sometimes people would sell those mixtapes. Not even a joke. That is straight up piracy. You're making profit off of something you didn't make. Hell, you didn't even broadcast it. You just recorded it and sold it off. So that's been going on for a while. What my point is that that's nothing new. That's not new. Previously, Sam Goody was still doing just fine. Even whenever CDRs came out, disc burners came out, they were still fine despite the better medium by which to record media to. they were still doing fine. It wasn't until you really got the stable digital music distribution platforms came about that they really went the way of the tubes. And I'm not talking about Napster. They were still around post Napster. It was really I'm trying to remember who it was that came about.
I hear where you're going, but I do think that Napster is kind of what wrote.
Yeah,
that kind of wrote
really
the end of PlayStation thing.
Yeah, it really started it. You're right.
Right, and that's kind of what I was getting at is, you know, and like you said, yeah, people were recording the music off the radio, but it wasn't the same. You couldn't get the entire album. You know, the singles were always meant to be, oh, here's something so you could hear some music that might be on the album. You might like it. Maybe you'll buy the rest of our album. Now with Napster, I can just get I was able to just get the whole album overnight. I sit on my dial-up internet, go to bed, wake up, it's right there. Yeah,
in movies the same way. Movies now, granted, obviously movie makers try to make it seem like piracy is a much bigger thing as it is. Yeah, it's not as huge as a lot of people think. Really, that one was not piracy at all. That was Netflix. Let's be honest.
I think it was Netflix, On Demand, Redbox a little bit.
Yeah,
I do think it was a little bit of piracy too, but I think it took longer because we didn't have the internet speeds to get these huge movies like we do now. And I think that's why Blockbuster lasted so long.
Yeah. All this is just big corporations being afraid of change and trying to hold on as tightly as possible to dinosaur business models.
Oh yeah, well they
don't want to change.
Yeah, let me actually get to my point on here is that okay, so obviously you've had Sam Goody and Blockbuster go extinct pretty much due to digital equivalents, be they legal or not, coming about that really kind of made their way of life, you know, obsolete, and they did not adapt to the change. Best Buy, on the other hand, is still around and yet is selling all of those things. They sell physical movies, they sell physical music, they sell physical games. Why is no one else, you know, like your GameStop, why are they not figuring out, hey, you know, it might be a good idea if we, I don't know, maybe try to sell more stuff, broaden our horizons, so that way we're not so...
I think GameStop should transfer over to, like, LAN cafes.
That would be brilliant.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah. We can make it work.
Man, it was so... I was in Seattle. It was so hard to find a LAN. There was, like, one LAN cafe.
Yeah, they're not very common up here.
No, they're not common pretty much anywhere in the U.S. You go to like Japan or Korea. Good God, they're everywhere.
Yeah, I'd love to go to LAN cafes, man.
It'd help if our internet was better and we didn't have cable companies that are strangleholding any type of progress.
Oh, here we go.
Oh, you know it's true. Damn cable companies are holding us back.
I will agree. Look,
Major, the majority of America grumbles with you. All right.
Yeah.
But why the hell if we let them continue?
Yeah, they grumble and then they pay their monthly bill. I'll tell you truthfully, my cable company has a pretty respectable pricing system, and it's shocking whenever I talk to someone else who's in, like, say, a smaller area, and they are paying double what I am for a quarter. I pay $50 for 50 megs. Straight up.
I pay $220 for the same, but it's also bundled with, like, cable. But okay, I don't use cable.
Yeah, no,
so it's like
I could bundle mine. I don't. I just have the straight internet, and it's $50 for 50 megs. I talk to people all over the place, everywhere, that will get like 15 or 20 megs for $100, and I'm like, how is that okay?
I'll tell you though, like 50 megs. I think it's over in which European country is it? There's somewhere like. They basically made it so that you have so many options of ISPs that they're having to be so competitive with their pricing.
I think it's Germany.
Right? Those people don't have any choice. They have to pay that or
pay
that. And we're caught because big cable companies are so enormous that they just swing their massive, amount of money. And when they're like, "Oh, you want us to be reasonable? Money." As like a weapon.
That's not what I thought you were going to say. It was massive.
I was going to a dick joke.
We're done with the YouPorn story, all right? Kev, get off of it already.
See, I was going there. I was like, let's make a dick joke. And
well, actually, you know what? Let's go ahead and use that. Let's roll with that big old mighty club of money, we'll say, and move on to the next story. Because sure, let's go ahead and spread more disinformation about this game. So there's this game called Tournament of Rapists, which is a tabletop RPG. You know, essentially, if anybody you're not familiar, it's like D&D or, you know, name your tabletop games. Yes, I know you guys don't really care about it a whole lot, but all of your video games, RPGs that you're playing now came from tabletop.
I would play tabletop. I just don't have people to play it with.
Oh, okay.
And it costs a lot of money to get into it.
Yeah, but
shut up, Dad.
Friends.
Really
That's what he's saying.
Yeah, but
he has no real friends.
Yeah, but in any case, the big thing with Tournament of Rapists is obviously a bunch of your activists in media read the name Tournament of Rapists, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, it's about rape."
Honestly, when I saw the title, I thought that too. I was like,
yeah,
what the hell is this?
Honestly, as much as I'll claim that people are probably overreacting, at the same time, it's like, why'd they have to name it that? Like, they knew they were asking for trouble when they named it that. Come on.
Well,
yeah, the name's a little bit offensive.
The thing is
you're asking for.
Okay. Before we go into that, let's discuss a couple of things. Yes, the name is very shocking, but wouldn't that be a good advertising shtick, having a very, very shocking name to it? Because based on under the premise of, hey, it's my creative medium, I can name it whatever the hell I want. Yes, people. It's not for kids. It's for adults. It's a tabletop RPG. Then okay, maybe teens. But the thing is it's not even about really rape. The Tournament of Rapists comes from a tournament that the antagonist puts on. So it's the the Tournament of Rapists is actually a bad thing in the game.
I'll support people can name things whatever they want. Like, I'm not saying he should be forced to change. They should be forced to change the name, but it's like when you choose that name, you have the freedom to choose it, but you have to accept the consequences that people are going to flip out.
I think that's blaming the victim, to be frankly honest. Because here's the thing: is that when people start the thing is when people start just writing death articles about your stuff, saying that you're glorifying rape without doing any research on your stuff at all, that is not the creator's fault. That's entirely the media. You know,
I'll blame media too. Media is awful. I will blame them.
It's definitely a two-sided thing. But the thing is, like, you named your game Tournament of Rape. At some point, you have to understand people are gonna say, no, this isn't cool. I mean, it would be like saying Slavery Simulator. We're going to go around whipping black people in the game.
But that's the thing. That's the difference. That's the difference.
That's totally
you gotta have some more tact. Plantation Owner 2015, okay?
The thing is that
there was game like that came out. I remember I saw a review take a video on it where you were literally just shooting gay people. And that's what the game, that was the objective of the game.
But the thing is that you're talking about the actual gameplay where, slave simulator, where you're whipping slaves or shooting gay people. This game is not doing that. It has absolutely nothing to do with rape. That's the problem. It's just the name.
Again, the media is awful. Media will do anything to drive up and frenzy people into, clickbait articles, and they, advertise revenue. But again, like, when you make the game, that name for your game,
But isn't that kind of
it is bad, but it's one of those things where it's like, what's going to happen though. You can't be surprised. As I was saying before, let's not say, I don't think they were surprised. I think that they knew exactly what was going to happen. Yeah, it's like the guy who made that one game, Hatred. Like, when he released the trailer where it's like, I'm going to kill all the people.
This is not an indie thing. This is not it's just random people thing. Dante's Inferno. When
with Cleopatra.
I don't know if you guys remembered Dante's Inferno.
Yeah.
No, if you remember,
are you talking about the marketing campaigns for that game?
The marketing campaign for Dante's Inferno.
Oh my god! What were they thinking?
This isn't the new thing. Shock value is a legitimate marketing technique.
Yeah,
that has been used by AAA companies and indie alike.
Well, and the thing is that's perfect. In my opinion, that's perfectly acceptable. My problem, what really bugs me about this is that you're seeing more and more of like these crusades to crucify things without doing any research. I could understand if they say like a game like Hatred, which the premise of the game, you know, was legitimately questionable. People kind of getting...
I mean, I'll go on about that game because it's shit. Like
it's a bad game.
Premises. It's a shit game that just drew up a bunch of attention because it's like ridiculous concept.
Like
it was successful though.
Yeah, he got so much success based on the controversy alone.
Yeah, exactly.
Considering it is a shit twin stick shooter game.
Yeah,
it's so bad.
The thing is that you know, there's some games that are some really kind of messed up games out there that, while at the same time, I personally would not buy them because, in my opinion, I don't like the premise. It, you know, whatever moral standards I have or ethics I have, I don't agree with them. However, at the same time, you will not once hear me publicly telling other people not to buy them. I will tell people this is what it's about. Here,
I'm not advocating that they change the name. I'm not.
No. The thing is no one is. People are trying to get it pulled from shelves. That's the problem.
I will defend that guy, their right to name the game whatever they want, but it's like you have stores which are businesses. They want to sell. They want to make a profit. They want to avoid controversy. You have something like this come up, and it looks bad on them if they push, like, hey, we're going to keep this game here, this tournament of rapists. Like, they don't care what the context is.
How bad exactly does it?
People don't care about context, unfortunately.
The thing is that
I think that's been disproven, honestly, Major, because a lot of these companies that have like gone through these controversial things, they have gained sales. They have not lost sales because it's, in all honesty, it's a vocal minority.
The truth is any press is good press when it comes down to it. Yes. And this game will probably get sales increased because of this controversy on it. So the truth is that these activists, while they're trying to get this game pulled from sales, are actually going to end up doing the opposite. But I guess
brought up the example though because even though most of the time that doesn't happen, I will say there are examples of, let's see, what was it? I'm trying to remember. I think it was Target in Australia, maybe?
With GTA?
They pulled games from the shelves.
Oh, yeah. Australia actually. Didn't they ban GTA5 straight up?
Yeah, they did because somebody got offended.
Like, people, when they don't understand stuff, the majority of the people who are complaining about this game probably don't play tabletop at all.
Well, like, not only that, they didn't even play the game at all, or else they would have known that...
They heard the name and were like, and then the news media was like, we can get views from this.
And I think the people who just overreacted were part of the news media. So I guess my question is, like, is this, like, does this concern anybody that this is becoming more and more of a trend where...
It's been going on for years.
Well, no, I mean, it's becoming, like, I've noticed that more and more stories... And like, granted, this has been something that's been, you've seen people on, like, say, forums and stuff like that, where they would...
is no one wants to pay for stuff like, you know, news outlets. They don't want to pay for... They don't want to be responsible for paying for
I really
journalism.
don't want to get into this conversation because I feel that it could bring some, like... I mean, I could get started on it.
I'm not going to sit and say, I have the answers to the current situation, but in our current situation... Modern news
I could say on it,
has such a it is in such in their best interest to get people riled up and excited and into a frenzy that they're so biased towards that now.
Yeah.
Well, that's games in general. Unless you're playing like
it's just news in
old
general.
school. Well, but I'm saying like the news and media toward games in general. Unless we're talking Monopoly or football or baseball, they're kind of say, we don't like this. And they're gonna throw shade at it no matter what. Yeah. Because it's new to them.
Yeah. Well, and I think that about sums it up, is it's not really anything new. But let's go ahead and get moving on here, because obviously this conversation won't necessarily go any further than gosh darn you media, and that's really all we have to say on the matter. But let's go ahead and get moved on to something that's also got a little bit of fire underneath some people, although not necessarily for a wrong like it's expected, you know. Rockstar ceased support for GTA 5 Online for the 360 and PS3. Obviously, it's not the first one to do it. Dragon Age Inquisition did it a few months back, where they pulled access for that. Mm-hmm. So obviously,
Call of Duty Advanced Warfare has done it too.
Yeah, exactly. So that's something that's coming up here.
I mean, the consoles are 9 and 10 years old, respectively. At what point are we going to let them go? Yeah. Like, I remember when Payday 2 came out, they remastered it, put it on PS4, Xbox One, and people were like legit mad that they stopped supporting it on the console, the consoles.
My question is, on like a Microsoft standpoint, aren't they still supposedly, didn't they promise that they were going to support Xbox 360?
No.
Longer? Yeah, they said they were going to support Xbox 360 until I think or Xbox Live on 360. I think until like 2016. Yeah. And Sony said we're going to support PlayStation 3 as long as it's financially viable.
So isn't that bad on Microsoft that
because this isn't Microsoft's fault. This is on individual developers saying we're just done with the old consoles.
I can understand that, but if somebody expects their console to be supported for the next couple of years, they would probably expect their multiplayer games to be supported on said console.
Well, here's the thing: is that's ultimately up to the publisher. The truth is that because the thing is here's the big deal is that
while the next topic,
we're on the next topic. Sorry, you got cut off there. but in any case, the thing is that GTA 5, obviously it's hosted through Rockstar, and Rockstar has to continually updates and patches and things like that, which cost them money, and obviously.
They didn't say they're taking the game offline.
No.
They said they're not doing any more updates.
They're not doing any more patches.
I'm just wondering, like, how long do people expect them to keep supporting
they're not doing patches.
Like, these consoles
right.
I misunderstood. I thought they were taking down the servers.
Yeah, no. Joe, you
will be up for a couple more years.
Yeah, Joe, you were saying that exactly what Kev just said.
It's a 10-year-old console. It's just like, how long do they expect them to keep supporting it?
That's understandable.
Yeah, for online games, I feel like there should be
like go get a new console, damn it.
Well, here's my problem is that this is the real issue is that in my opinion is that some of these games need to have a clear EOL or end of life support cycle clearly listed. Like, hey, we're launching Mass Effect Andromeda. We expect a support cycle of 2-3 years.
Honestly, I think people will get upset about that, though. Like, people don't want to hear that you'll end of life something. Like, they want to buy the game and expect it to just keep going,
Yeah, right. But it never happened.
I'm concerned about that will actually probably bite them in the ass.
I have a personal bias about this because I bought Chrome Hounds I remember that. A week after Sega shut down the online servers, and Chrome Hounds basically has no gameplay outside of the online. Like, there's a couple of missions, but they're basically practice for online.
Yep.
So I basically paid a bunch of money for a dead game. And I got super salty, and I was super upset that I could not experience Chrome Hounds because to this day it's extremely unique. And the only thing close, like Warframe's done a couple of things similar, but there's not a lot of games that do things like Warframe did. And it annoys me that it wasn't on PCs because people couldn't host their own servers.
Yeah. Well, the thing is that I don't know. To me, I feel like there should be more open disclosure about end of life, because like the same thing with Inquisition and the same thing with GTA Online is that both of them weren't exactly like clearly disclosed ahead of time. Like, for example, with Inquisition, it was just like one day it pops up, hey, by the way, we're cutting off support, and they're like, thanks.
Yeah, some of these games are messed up. Like, I think it's kind of messed up for Dragon Age, a game that, you bought it on the last gen system expecting it to be the full game. Now even something like Call of Duty or, where I'm like, you expect that to have the whole year cycle. Now, if we have a game like Destiny and GTA, understand that these games, they're going on for years. You got 2 years worth of content at a GTA Online for free.
Well,
you've gotten your money's worth out of it.
Yeah, especially with Dragon Age 2, what was really confusing there is that I think they cut it off just post Descent DLC. So it's pretty much
actually the Descent isn't on there.
Okay, so it was just before the Descent. Okay,
just got Jaws of hacking.
Yeah, but it's like, you know, with and I imagine there was technical issues going on there, but it kind of feels like where the last gen guys really got screwed is because there's a lot of unanswered questions on those old consoles that the Trespasser DLC is designed to kind of fulfill. It's really meant to be kind of the wrap up, which is why when you complete Trespasser, it's like Fallout 3. You don't keep playing, it's over. Roll credits.
New Vegas.
Oh, yeah, sorry, New Vegas. Got them backwards. Yeah, you can't keep playing after Trespasser. Once you're finished with it, roll credits and you can load your previous save and that's it. But like I think that kind of where what really burns people on that is whenever you launch a game, and this is a trick. Its problem is that when you develop a game, what people don't see. Hey, we started developing, like, say, Inquisition or Grand Theft Auto. We started developing it before the new consoles were launched, right? Before they were ever released or announced. So they didn't have the capabilities to program it for those until later. So they had the game ready for the old-gen consoles. Why are they just going to abandon it before launch, you know? But at the same time, it's kind of like when you sell it, people are expecting that, you know, after-term support.
Right, and that was my problem with it. It's like, I understand, you know, games take a long time to develop for, and that's why I think we're seeing so many cross-gen games. And you know, you are seeing games where I think they've been wholeheartedly held back by the old consoles. But where I wish they would do what they did, like in years past, like, for example, the PS2. I kept my PS2 until like 2012. And you can still get those same cross-gen games. And a lot of the time, it was just the PS2 version was severely gimped. Well, and I'm okay with that.
Well, like, for a good example would be, like, the thing is that a lot of your, essentially where I saw it is like, was it Halo 2 or Halo 3 launched right around the time whenever, the new gen was launched?
Yeah, Halo 3.
Halo 3, I think it was, yeah. And essentially, they had it on both platforms. But hey, guess what? Both platforms, as far as I know, got all of the same content.
Halo 3 was on the original Xbox?
No.
Because Halo 2 wasn't on the 360. Halo 2 was the only one not on the 360.
No, I think I'm thinking of another game then that was on both, and I can't remember which one it was. But literally, it got all the same content. And I had it, whichever one it was, and I can't remember.
I know they tried that with like Call of Duty Ghosts, and Call of Duty Ghosts is an example of a game that was just a disaster because of it.
That's not why it was a disaster.
No, I'm saying it was a bad game overall, but I'm saying that's part of the disaster because they were supporting like 6 platforms. Assassin's Creed Black Flag had a lot of problems that I think came from developing for like 5-6 platforms. It's time to let those old consoles go.
Which I think that is going to be the case now. I think, you know, going forward, developers are now, you know, pushing forward towards the new consoles.
Well, they've already been doing it. Like you haven't been seeing that many cross-gen games in 2015. Yeah. And this holiday, there's barely any. You know, you have games like NBA Live, where it's a completely different game.
Yeah, but
gotta admit, they did the same thing. PlayStation 2 managed to hold on for a while there.
for a long while.
Yeah, they were getting games like 2014.
Mm-hmm. That's still that is one of the most prolific consoles in the history of gaming, like no doubt.
Yeah, like they were releasing FIFA, I think, until like 2014 on the PS2.
But what do you think about it?
It's probably like 5 frames per second.
Is Death still there?
Oh,
sorry,
did we
Mike muted. I'm still here. No, I'm still here.
He fell asleep. Good God, Kev, you droned on for so long. He fell asleep.
What do I care about? What?
about the end of life support. Like, what do you think that like if a game is being developed whenever an old gen is out, and then before the game is launched, a new gen comes out, like with Inquisition or Grand Theft Auto. So whenever they have to then upgrade another version for the new gen consoles, so it's released on both generations. Do you think it's the responsibility of the developer to provide equal support to both platforms?
why are they developing for Xbox and PlayStation anyway? It's just develop for PC, right? I mean, you're not gonna have these problems on PC.
Well, PC, I don't think PC's for everybody. I think that's wholeheartedly, and on top of that, I think consoles are the whales of the situation. There's no way to get around it. Console players, overall, like for their games, they tend to spend a little bit more. They well, obviously they're paying the full $60. You know, they're buying everything day one. We tend to wait for Steam sales and things. I see a little bit why they put the priority to consoles, because on a console, a game's dead after like 3 months. That's not the case on PC. People are still playing Fallout New Vegas to this day. It's 5 years old.
Well, and I will agree that the pacing, with Inquisition in particular, the pacing for Inquisition was actually poor on their DLC release. Like, I understand they want to extend out the life as long as possible, but the truth is that if you look at the DLC releases for Mass Effect 3 versus that, which I know some people hate when those two are compared, but they share a lot of the same development team, and they're very similar as far as their structure goes in games. The thing is, if you don't count the stupid on-disc DLC with the Awaken or the Javik, whatever that was called.
The Javik.
Yeah, the Javik DLC. If you don't count those, there was they paced out the DLC releases a lot better, both multiplayer and single player. You know, where it lasted a full year. You know, Dragon Age, it didn't even make it a full year. You know, it's not even been out for a year yet.
Yeah, I think the problem with Dragon Age is like the community, I think, would have been really strong, especially on the multiplayer, had they supported it properly. Like, I think if you're going to copy Mass Effect, you kind of got to copy it wholesale, especially because there just weren't a lot of variety in terms of gameplay like there was in Mass Effect. Well, they needed that multiplayer content a lot faster.
In Mass Effect, wasn't there at first only 3 maps and, you know, technically only 6 characters? I mean, yeah, male and female version of both, but, you know, there's only, 6 characters to start.
Yeah, but then we got a DLC like 3 weeks after the game came out.
Yeah.
And then we got another one like a month later.
Yeah, and there was tons of them. There was a lot more balance changes throughout. And the thing is that, you know, now I'm not going to go on too long about Inquisition, but I don't think that any of the woes of the last gen console really caused the lack of support there. I think that was just a misallocation of resources on BioWare's part. Hopefully they learned from that with Andromeda, but that's not a story today. In any case, though, so let's go ahead and move on. Let's get the closing statements from everybody, and we can go ahead and close out for the night here. So Joe, go ahead and give us your closing statements, and please don't go on too long. Anything that you might have had unresolved that you were going on about got cut off.
Wasn't that important. I don't know, not much.
Okay, screw the corporations. That's Joe's motto. Okay, cool. Kev, you got anything to say?
Just the usual praise given. Ready for the flood, ready for all the new games to come out. You know, praise Spencer, because most of my games this year are going to be on the Xbox and PlayStation. So
there's more than Fallout 4 coming out?
Yeah.
I only know there's one game coming out this fall.
You're talking about.
I'm actually looking forward to Halo. I'm looking forward to the Uncharted collection.
I will say,
Fallout, NBA 2K.
Blizzard announced the final expansion for StarCraft 2, which is going to resolve the story. Legacy of the Void's coming out in November.
But let's be honest there. Come on now.
The story's gotten ridiculous, but I want to see how they end it. Because it's getting ridiculous, and it's the fun kind of ridiculous.
Okay.
I'm gonna wait until
I
it's done.
I never got into StarCraft.
I'm gonna wait until it's done and then just watch a YouTube video. Of
exactly.
Just be like, okay, now I know.
Yeah,
that's what I'm gonna do.
I got all the story from Heart of the Swarm, which was kind of out there, but whatever.
The story went off the rails, but it's the fun.
Yeah, it did.
They're just like, Blizzard's like, fuck it, we're just gonna go absolutely nuts here. We're gonna have crazy alien hybrid bullshit going on. Blizzard was like, we don't give a fuck, guys.
I don't know. It started resembling Warhammer 40K, which is awesome. So
no, it's the fun kind of bonkers.
Yeah.
So I'm totally okay with it.
But so Death, you got any closing statements for us?
I'm happy to be also here.
Thank you for the
Smite is amazing on Steam.
I'm happy to be also here. So yeah, I need to get into more games. I'm slowly getting them back on my hard drive so I can play them.
That's up Shroud. Nvidia's holding a contest, the Ascend a Friend contest, where you get your peasant friend off a console and they build him a PC if you can give them a reason why. Let's get Shroud into that contest. We'll get him a PC.
I'm good for that.
and we're also going to get Morty on a 950 because that 650 Ti boost is
actually before you go too far on there on the whole 950 route, I'm actually I set up a Patreon with the expectation of potentially actually upgrading to I did some research, found out the Fury X, the performance versus price isn't so good, so my goal of the whole Patreon campaign is actually the end goal is a 980 or a 390X.
Fuck it, you're gonna run SLI dual 980s, okay?
That's so overkill.
There's no point.
I play with a 970 and 1080.
When you hear about Total Biscuit with his SLI freaking Titan X's, there's no point. This literally is pointless.
With the games that are coming out now, there's no point in going beyond a 970.
Hey, you want to play your games at 4K at 144 frames per second?
Yeah, there's a reason for that.
There you go.
I'm also looking at heavy duty, and the thing is that's the end goal.
Super wide monitor, if you guys haven't seen it, the monitor that's twice as long as it is tall.
It's 20. No, it's not. It's not. Yeah, it's something like that. It's 21.9.
Let's see, long monitors.
There's a bunch of them out. They're very awesome. But
yeah, we're gonna get you one of those.
In any case, that's my that's the end goal. Part of that whole campaign is also upgrading my RAM and my CPU as well, because
how much RAM are you?
I have an i3 with 8 gigs of RAM and a 650 Ti boost. So
now, the 8 gigs will be fine.
No, not for heavy duty video editing like what I'm planning on doing. You need
for someone who videos who just plays games, 8 gigs of RAM. That's fine for me.
Yeah, that's where my thought was.
I play games and do my editing. I'm at 16 gigs of RAM with no.
I'll tell you though, Kev, if you want to start doing something instead of just griping about my 900p situation,
Oh no, I just talking shit to you because you call everybody peasants.
Yeah, the funny thing is, he makes fun of you for your 900p situation, yet I'm over here running 720p.
Yeah, I didn't realize that until a few days ago.
Yeah, why would you think that with my
I don't notice the difference between 900 and 1080p, but I notice the difference between 720.
Apparently those console users do.
I don't notice.
They only want to argue.
I noticed a slight difference. If I hook up my PC, run an HDMI cable between my video card and my TV, and I play the game on my TV that's 1080p, I notice a difference. It's just not that huge.
Yeah. Understood.
It's not enough for me to sink a bunch of money into a new monitor when I don't need to.
Yeah.
But if I'm going to get a new monitor, I'm going to go for 120 hertz.
Time to wrap up?
Yeah, that's where I'm going.
Let's do that.
Thank you, Death, for helping me out there.
Yeah, let's go ahead and end.
But let's go ahead and wrap up for the night, and we will see you all next week on the Pixel Crashers podcast.